Before we start this podcast, do follow the Human Compass with Karan to find your inner compass on various platforms like Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Some people build companies, some build products. A few quietly build a different way of living. Our next guest belongs to the third category. His journey isn't really about textiles, it is about alignment. The fabric he creates, the businesses he builds, the flute he plays, and the lives he touches are all expressions of one simple belief. When consciousness evolves, everything else follows. So, in 2018, he completely pivoted his life and career to launch Hand in Yarns, pioneering India's vegan silk movement and proving that heritage, luxury, and compassion can seamlessly coexist. Also, he has lived a dedicated holistic lifestyle since 2012, guiding individuals to break through their mental barriers, helping them come up during their failures and supporting them. Please welcome to the show the innovator and the visionary behind Hand and Yarns, Mr. Sandip Kumar Singhvi.
First of all, thanks, Karan, for making me a part of this podcast. It's really a great pleasure being here with you in this podcast. Thank you so much.
It's an honor to meet you, Mr. Sandeep Singhvi. Thank you so much for taking your precious time out and giving us this podcast. So, संदीप जी, मैंने इंट्रोडक्शन में आपको पूछा था that in 2018 you had launched Hand and Yarns, which had you had created awareness about vegan silk. So how did you create it? When you could see the market where it was predominantly dominated by traditional silks like Banarsis, Kanjivaram. So how did you create it, the awareness?
Yeah, so before I could start how I created the awareness about the vegan silk, I need to introduce you all with my journey, the the reason behind me moving away from the conventional silk and walking towards the compassionate ones. So there was an inner engineering happening within me. I was transformed from within as I came across a lot of holistic development courses since 2012. Multiple interactions with Jain monks and wise people made me today, and I am in front of you with this concept of vegan silk. So there was a lot of transformation within my conscious. Since my childhood, I have been taught about non-violence because I am from a Jain family. And right from my young age, during my school days, and as I grew up, I was taught how to save life, how not to be cruel, and every aspect of your lifestyle should be non-violent. Following such principles and values, and if I do a silk business, was completely contradicting my values. And there was a point of time when I was having sleepless nights because I had to do a silk business at the same time. My values and principles are aligned to non-violence and cruelty-free lifestyle. And that's how when I decided that this cannot happen anymore. And in the year 2018, I completely closed all my silk contracts and my silk dealings with all my weavers and artisans. And then I moved on towards more compassionate business format in the name of Hand and Yarns, a vegan silk boutique. So initially, it was quite difficult for me to introduce this format to the customers. At that point of time in the market, silk was booming. Everybody wanted silk, and silk was one of the most loved fabrics by the customers. So initial few years, I was very hesitant to, completely tell that it's vegan silk or it's cruelty free because I felt a lot of customers felt offended, and I didn't have a proper audience for this market. So initial years, like in the year 2018 and 19, and even 20, I was catering to the general audience. And COVID was the main reason which switched my business pattern. Once the pandemic was there in the whole world, everybody started aligning their lifestyle towards, more eco-friendly, environmental friendly. Everybody became health conscious. People started thinking about other living beings. People started thinking about the planet. So that was a time when I had to switch my approach, and then I started creating an audience for my brand. Those audience were like more aligned to their conscious values, and they were more looking for conscious lifestyle. They didn't want to indulge in any kind of act which could be violent or not supporting the planet. And that's the time when I started introducing vegan silk to my audience. Yeah, of course, in 18, 19, 20, we had here and there few customers to whom I introduced the concept. The real picture started post pandemic.
Okay. संदीप जी, कैन यू जस्ट टेक अस टू दैट एग्जैक्ट मोमेंट, क्योंकि अभी आपकी फैमिली वाज कम, आई मीन इट इज़ डीप इनटू टेक्सटाइल्स सिंस 1998. तो कैन यू टेक अस टू दैट एग्जैक्ट मोमेंट कि आपके घर वालों ने कैसे रिएक्ट किया? बिकॉज यू सी द कॉन्ट्रास्ट, लाइक योर बिजनेस वाज कंप्लीटली इनटू प्योर टेक्सटाइल्स, weaves, Banarsis, Kanjarams, and you got an idea which contradicted that. So, can you take us to that exact moment? How did everyone react? Your father and everyone.
I think this is quite valid that you're asking me how people reacted, especially the family, because it was not a small decision.
Yeah.
Because transforming a conventional silk business to a business which is completely, which doesn't have a roadmap, which doesn't have an audience, which doesn't have a market, it was a very big decision that we had to take. Because I even tell today also that my decision was not my decision. It was my family's decision. It's their support. It's their willingness to honor what I think. That was a very big gift for me. Before I could start how this all happened, I want to tell you all that there was a time when I used to love only silk fabric. I was completely against all those fabrics which didn't have pure silk. And I used to tell my wife that whenever you wear a sari, it has to be a pure silk sari, which is a conventional silk. And you all know that conventional silk is extracted by boiling silkworms. From the cocoons, they extract the silk thread, then they spin it, and then it goes for the further processing where you start weaving and then you get the silk fabric. So I was a proper silk lover person. I used to love heirloom saris. I used to love the craft, the Banarsis, the Kanjivaram. And I used to tell my wife that you're going to wear only pure silk and nothing less than that. And me, all of a sudden, telling that I'm not going to sell silk was a very big surprise. In fact, it was a shock to my family as well as the industry. People with whom I'm working, my associates, my vendors, especially the silk vendors, the weavers were completely in shock because that was a time when I was scaling up my business. It was booming. We reached almost to a point of graph where we were setting the trends for pure silk. We were majorly bringing the central part of India where the wild silk is manufactured, like Taswa, Gicha, Dupian. So all these silks were very popular in the central part of India, like states like Chhattisgarh, Bihar, Bhagalpur, and West Bengal. And in those days, South India was not so connected in the silk industry in the central parts of India. So we had a very good opportunity where we used to develop and create novelties in pure silk and then supply in all the southern states of India like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Andhra, and Telangana. Being so deep into the silk industry, where I knew every silk fabric, how it was made, every center, every state has its own craft, has its own beauty and artistic textile craft, and there was no such craft which I didn't bring under my brand, and there was no other craft which I missed on, which is made from pure silk. But then as I said you that in 2012, I started aligning with my values, my principles, because that was a period when whatever seeds were sown in my childhood that started expanding. And due to that, since I wanted to align with my values and I wanted to be true to myself, whatever the world think, that was secondary, but I wanted to be true to myself. If I'm talking about ahimsa when it comes to Jainism, if I'm talking about ahimsa, if I'm talking about non-violence, and one side I sell pure silk, it is not justified. So that was a time period in 2016 when I decided that I'm going to quit and I'm going to move towards more compassionate business format. And when I said about this to the first person whom I told was my dad. My dad was actually in a very different state of mind when I said this. Initially, he was just trying to understand what made me do this. But then, after a point of time, with multiple discussions, we had discussions for 1 year before I decided to transform the business. 2017 was the only year when we were only continuously having discussions. All the business plans were all at a big halt. And then finally we concluded that my dad told me that now it's not going to be easy for you to sell pure silk, because you have already gave up that within your conscious. It is just that physically I have to, remove the inventories and
Yes.
start a new format. And that was the reason why uh, i I thank my family, especially my dad, who supported in my decision. And then in 2018, we started the retail store. The reason behind that is again my dad. One day he told me that you wanted to get away from this format of business and you moved on to a compassionate format of business where you're not selling pure silk and you're selling plant based silk and artificial silk. What about the women who are hunting for vegan silk? What about those conscious ladies who are looking for more conscious product, more ethical fashion? How would they get this? And that was a time when my dad told that you need to come up with the retail store. We were all a manufacturer and wholesalers. Retailing was nowhere, we were nowhere retailers. So then, since my dad told that we need to reach to all those ladies who are, who wants to wear this ethical clothing. Since the silk business was over, so we had the space where we used to store our pure silk raw materials. And my dad told that this is the right place where you have to convert it to a boutique. And in 2018 November, we started Hand in Yarns in the same premises where we used to store all our silk inventories. And that's how the journey began to a new chapter. Yeah, I'm really thankful to my mom, my wife, because my mom and my wife, the day when I started the store, Hand and Yarns, they came and told me that Sandeep, don't buy any more silk saris for me. Because if you're not going to sell silk, then why should you wear silk saris? That's what they told. And till date, they have not touched a single filament of silk. They've not even worn a single clothing. And whatever they had, they finished off. And now, whatever they buy only ethical fashion based clothing. And last but the least, my grandmom played a big role in my transformation. I used to miss my granddad. I've never seen him because he left this world before I could take birth in this world. So I used to always ask about the granddad. And from childhood, she used to keep telling me about him, every value, what he used to follow, how he used to do work, how he used to take care of the family. Multiple stories. Every night was a story with my grandmom, and the story was only about my Kaku. So we call him Kaku. My granddad, we call him Kaku. And so she mentioned once that your Kaku used to sell fabric. So he used to tie a bunch of clothes, put it on his head, and he used to walk to the other villages, sell them. And with the proceedings, he used to buy the groceries and all the like the grains, groceries, and all for the family so that they could have a great meal every day. But she used to mention one thing: whatever may happen, he never used to sell silk.
Okay.
And she told that Kaku used to tell that we should never sell silk. So that story really hit me hard with a great intensity, and it went and kindled me and made my nights sleepless. So then on, many things are there which made me this today, and my family was the biggest reason for me to establish hand in hands. Their support and their decision to stand with me was the biggest support for me.
I guess family plays a big role when you want a change in life. Their support is what matters the most, right?
Yeah, so if today in present scenario, my dad, my mom, my wife, all three of them, they come to the store whenever there is a lot of pressure, and they come and support me. So my support system is given by them. My wife, my mom, my dad, all three of them. My dad is already 63 years and still he comes to the office to support me. He takes care of the management part, the HR part, all is taken by care by him. And nowadays he started traveling again to curate a certain segment of products for the store. Today also is quite active. So one part of my store still is taken care by my dad. One part of my sales part, customer management, sales management, is taken care of by my wife. And my mom assists me when we all of them are not there. Then she comes into the role, and the biggest role both of them play. My mom and my wife, they take care of my kids also. My kids are quite big now, so in fact I would say that they are much more hardworking and much more smart than me because they can do multiple things with a lot of precision. Yeah, family is one of the biggest, I could say, that they play the biggest part in the success or any achievement in any person's life.
Definitely, definitely. So Sandeep ji, I just want to know, they say, the visionary mindset comes when the seeds are sowed at the beginning of your life. So how were you at school? मतलब अभी बोलते हैं ना आप स्कूल में were you that student who used to follow rules जो teachers बोलते हैं used to achieve your goals, or were you someone who used to follow the rules but you had your own thing in mind कि I'll do it in my way, but you used to follow the rules? How were you?
Actually, I was something in between. I was not so disciplined also to follow the rules and regulations, but at the same time, I was not so mischievous or trying to do things on my own. I was something in between. But one thing is for sure, which I learned about myself was I was always curious. I had the seed of curiosity to know things, to know why this is happening, what is the reason behind. So all such things always used to come into my mind whenever I come across anything new. The curiosity never died from within me. Even today, I have been loving the curiosity within me. That is the biggest thing which I have found within myself. And today, if I'm doing something like this, is because of that curiosity.
So, Sandeep ji, who was your favorite teacher at school? मतलब वो होता है ना, you had this teacher, या अच्छा मैं ऐसे पूछूंगा कि कौन सी टीचर आपको pushed you to that extent कि हाँ अब तो मुझे करके ही दिखाना है कि I can achieve this?
Many teachers were there. Exactly, I can't say that she was the one who pushed me, but yes, of course, she was one among those all teachers who pushed me what I am. In the end of my higher secondary, where I studied my 11th and 12th, there was one teacher, the accountant teacher. Her name is Meenakshi Sabapati. I can never forget her because accounts was one of my favorite subject. And the way she taught the subject, the way she took the class, the her approach was too good, and something we enjoyed a lot. We never missed her classes, and we got the results in the boards, in the 12th boards. So yeah, teachers, even today I tell everybody that teachers play a big role. We generally, most of them tend to forget that what we were made by the teachers in the school, but I would say that they are the people who make you. And today whatever you are, it's because of the teachers in your schools and your colleges and your all those mentors who give you the life lessons. You can never forget them.
You should never forget your roots.
Yeah.
So, Sandeep ji, I just want to know. So, I mean, your family has been in textiles in 1998, and I think in the early 2000s, you used to work with your father. So, when you started creating awareness for this vegan, you would have 100% you would have faced your failures, the downfall. So, How did that background or that experience which you had, how did that change your business model, or how did that help you in creating your business model?
As I already mentioned, that I was always curious about something new and this. So when I joined my dad's business in the year 2005, full fledged. Before that, I was to come here and there, just ask about the color and fabric and what he's doing. I used to just get fascinated, and I used to ask, from where you getting this? So he's tell that I just went yesterday to Kanjivaram and I got these saris, silk saris from Kanjivaram. He keeps telling me that this I got from Gujarat, this I got from that time we didn't have Chhattisgarh. That time we had Madhya Pradesh, so and Bihar. So he used to tell, like, I went there, and I used to get all this. So this all was very fascinating for me. But in the year 2005, I joined full fledged my dad's business because I was required there, because my dad had another business, which was a finance and a jewelry business, which he was winding up, and parallelly he was running a textile business. So that's why I joined very early in this business, and I never regretted, because I just loved it, playing with the yarns, playing with the colors, experimenting how different fabrics behave in different colors. So that was, every day was a learning process, a creative learning. And always whenever I started working with fabrics and textile products, I used to get a lot of questions, a lot of curiosity. So I used to ask my vendors, like, what did you use in this fabric? What is the content of the yarn? How was the yarn made? So from the year 2005 till 2013 and 14, I used to extensively discuss about the product. So most of my vendors knew that I was always, before they could send me a product, they'll be prepared with what all questions I could come up with, and they used to give me all the question. They used to solve all my questions and give me the answers with a lot of details, and they used to take out time for my discussion, and they used to give me all the details about the yarn, the construction, the reed pick, the warp weft, everything. And that was a golden period for me. Even though I was doing the conventional silk business, I learned how the silk is made, how every different breeds of silk behave, what is the color brilliancy of mulberry silk and what is the color brilliancy of tussar silk. There's a day and night difference. So all this I started learning, and I was scaling up my silk business. So that expertise is the biggest investment, and it will never go. It is going to help me today and even in the coming days. So the challenges which I faced in this vegan silk format was, as I mentioned earlier, that it was very difficult to introduce to the general audience. So 2018, 19, 20 was quite challenging, because customers came to my stores asking for pure silk saris. So it was difficult for me to make them understand, because I have to be careful. If I talk about the cruelty involved in pure silk, then they would feel offended. So I had to do a lot of homework before I used to speak to my customers. But then after a point of time, I found that all those customers were not coming back to me, because they were looking me as another sari store or another women's wear store. And that's how it was a biggest challenge. Already we were having a big financial consequences, because I shifted from conventional silk to vegan silk, and we didn't come out of that. And this was another big challenge which came in front of us. We were losing customers. That was a time when I was thinking whether what I'm doing is I'm supposed to do, or should I do something else, or should I quit, or should I go back to conventional silk. Let me be frank with you, these all came to my mind. Sometimes I used to in the year 2020 and 21, I used to think that what decision I've taken, where I had a blooming conventional silk business, where I was doing multi-million crore turnover. I just left that and I came for this vegan silk, just because my conscience was not allowing. I was doubting that decision. But then that was challenging. That is you know, that's how you have to evolve. And I did that. I hanged on to what I decided. I I just felt that I will find my way. And 2021 onwards, I started seeing a glimpse of a ray of hope. And then I started moving in the same direction. Yeah, of course, till 2023-24, the brand was not a profit making brand. Even today, I can say that it is just near the break even or something above the break even. It's not making the profits even yet.
Okay. So if still, I guess, like you had started in 2018, so
Yeah.
it's 2026 now.
Yeah.
So I can say it's like around 8 years.
Yeah.
So if it's taking 8 years to even touch a break even, so do you think there's a future? Because if it's taking so long, because when you talk about traditional silk, that doesn't need these many years to do a break even, right?
Yeah.
So if this is taking so many years, do you see any future of this?
I really appreciate your question. Yes, it took 8 years. If you see any other business, any other format, or any startup, I think 3 to 4 years is a max time where you can judge whether this startup could make up the market and live
Yes.
up to the expectations. Why it took more time in this is there is a reason behind any startup. If you have a market or if you have an audience, and above that all, if there is an awareness, then 2 3 years is enough for them to establish. But in this case, there is no market, there is no audience, and there is no awareness. The first 3 years, I just spent my time in the store, not even talking about what is vegan silk. Now just imagine what would be the situation. I'm just catering to the normal customer. A customer who wanted sari, they used to come, they used to buy, they liked it, they buy. They never knew that they wanted to buy something which is cruelty free or ethical. Nothing like that. संदीप, मेरे को ये साड़ी अच्छी लगी, ये मेरे को दे दो, बात खत्म. इसमें क्या है, ये कैसे बना हुआ है, इसमें क्या धागा लगा है, इसमें प्लांट का धागा लगा है या इसमें कुकुन का धागा लगा है, उससे कोई लेना देना नहीं है. It is only the people in the industry knew that I was into a different path. But at the end of the supply chain, the real customers, they didn't know. So 3 years went off. 3 to 4 years, you can just straight away remove from my journey. In 8 years, the 3 to 4 years only went as a normal store. The next 4 years was the real time where I started slowly introducing myself as a vegan entrepreneur, and my products are cruelty free. So that happened after a later point of time. So that is one reason behind the gestation period being 8 years. But that is not at all a matter of consideration. The consideration is about what I think, how I live with my values. For that value, for that consciousness, for that conscience, I transform. It's not that I wanted to create success or create a success story. No, I wanted to live with my principles and the values which were given by my ancestors, given by my mentor, and that's what I'm doing it.
I just want to say one thing on a personal point that, there are entrepreneurs, they've spent their whole life creating a multi crore network, they've spent their whole lives. And just, you walked away from it, when it was at its peak. That's a hats off thing, Mr. Sandeep ji, because it takes a lots of guts and it takes a lots of, the will to even come out of it when if it's at its peak, So it's something to be proud of.
I would say that I just wanted to opt for the most compassionate module. I just love, when I see every living being, happily living their life. If I show you the process of silk making, if I show you the process of silk making, I'm very sure that you will never be able to wear any silk clothing. It is so difficult to see the process. Boiling in hot water, and then you're pulling out the filament and reeling up, and the worm inside is in the transition stage from a silkworm to a silk moth. They don't know what's happening. If you see the process, and especially I being a Jain, it's really difficult for me. So yeah, I move towards more ethical and compassionate format. I'm happy with what I'm doing it. That is what at the end of the day it matters.
Okay. So when you started creating awareness of vegan, so did you create awareness of vegan by the positive sides of vegan, like what it's the good says, or did you try promoting it, keeping in hand, or telling the clients that the textile industry says that they're boiling cocoons and you should not buy this and you should come to vegan? Did you ever do that, or was it just a positive promotion for vegans?
So I never talk about the conventional silk whenever a customer comes to my shop or my store. I always try to highlight the best things of plant-based silk. I can say you in few things. Plant-based silk is very skin friendly because it is made from wood pulp fiber and they are biodegradable. And if you are using plant-based silk, you can use them in all the seasons. They are not seasonal based. You can wear them 365 days a year, and that's how they keep you warm and cozy in the winter, and they keep you cool in the summer. So I always used to highlight the beauty of the vegan silk. If I find someone is more aligned to silk, I try to explain the beauty of the vegan silk by showing the luster, the shine, the drape, the fall. All these properties are there in a pure silk, conventional silk, and the same thing I highlight them in the vegan silk, and never try to show any other industry down. I just show the reality of vegan silk. I bring the awareness. My main aim is to create awareness. So my store is not a store. It's a temple where I pray that I save as many as lives possible in this birth time.
I guess this is a mark of a true ethical businessman, right?
Yeah, I hope more such people join this movement so that the world becomes a better place to live.
Definitely, I guess a few people who would watch this podcast, maybe after this podcast, people would follow your footsteps soon.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate what you have shared with me now also. And I would also like to tell that I didn't move away from the business format because I found any opportunity in doing vegan silk business. I moved away from the conventional silk because I wanted to align with my consciousness. I want to align with my values and principles given by my mentor and my ancestors and my family. And that's the reason why I moved from the conventional silk business. You cannot have multiple rules, multiple principles in different aspects of your life. You can never do that.
Well said, Sandeep ji. You embraced a holistic life path since 2012, like nearly 6 years before launching Hand in Yarns. How did that transforming your internal world? How did that force you to change your external business model?
2011 and 12 were the biggest turning point of my life. That was a period when I took a U-turn and I started to embrace myself. I started knowing myself. I started knowing what are my strengths. I started knowing what I'm capable of. And reason behind that is two very important life transforming courses which I did. First one, I did the alma mater. That time, TT Rangarajan was the mentor. I did his holistic course, the 16 session holistic course. That was the first something which happened with intensity. It happened in that course. And from then on, I started searching. I was getting more curious. I used to get lots of questions about my life, started thinking about my thoughts, my process, everything. And that's the time when something started working from inner. My inner conscious started working in that period. My dad introduced me to Guru Rishi Praveen, I and he gave me a course. He taught me a course called Aram Discover Yourself. Since then, my life transformed in a very big way. All my unanswered questions were answered after doing that course. Even till date today, I'm following all the kriyas taught by him in that course. whatever TT Rangarajan taught me and whatever Guru Rishi Praveen taught me, I followed them without any doubt, and I just accepted whatever they said, because I knew that whatever was given to me was for my development and for my growth. And I used to, with lot of faith, I followed their kriyas, and I never missed their kriya even a single day. Even today, I follow their kriya.
So now when we are talking about the holistic lifestyle, how is Mr. Sandeep Singhvi's day begins and how it ends? We just want to know, how does it start? How do you go about it? How does it end?
After practicing all my holistic kriyas for almost like 14, 15 years, one thing is for sure, that I'm very aware of what I do. That is the biggest uh, learning, and it's the biggest thing which could help a person to propel towards his mission, vision, and his goal. Unless and until a person won't be aware of what he is or what is happening with him, both inside and outside, it is very difficult for him to channelize himself for what he is dreaming for. So this is how I start my day. I start my day with my kriya, the morning kriyas, where I have a chanting and prayer. Then I do yoga, and then I start my day in my office. And then again, the whole work schedule is over. And in the night before I sleep, I have my own kriya before I sleep. I have the prayer and the physical kriya along with that. And then I have a small meditation, color meditation before I sleep. I follow these kriya, and that's how things are going on.
Is it easy to follow holistic lifestyle?
Very easy, because it helps you in all challenges. So my holistic course, nothing something which is very technical or very big. It is very simple, which I learned from my Gurudev. So it works on the foundation of every human being. So basically, you need to align yourself, work on your on your basic roots: how to sleep, how to eat, how to walk, how to communicate, and your basic daily routine. So you have to work on that. Most of the people do lots of things and forget doing this. For example, you need to have a proper sleep for 7 to 8 hours, because 33% of your life goes in sleeping.
Hmm.
And if that act cannot be done religiously and properly, how do you expect your body, your mind, and soul to work for your dream or work for your goal? How is it possible? So that's how important is sleeping. So I've been doing all this. Yeah, I do have my own challenges, but that challenges always give the opportunity to learn, to develop from there. So I always see challenges as an opportunity. Before some time back, I used to just listen, some wise people talking that challenges are give room for opportunity. But now experiencing it from my personal life.
Okay. So at the beginning, when I said that, when you started following the holistic lifestyle, you had changed. You had helped young individuals, breaking their mental barriers and helping them when they are down. So how is this connected?
As I said, you I am. I learned Aram Discover Yourself from my Gurudev. 3 years back, I became a certified trainer under his trainer program. From then on, I started, helping young ones, young generations, to come over all the challenges in their life. And it is really interesting, and I really feel a sense of happiness when I impart what I learned from my Gurudev and give them the practical as well as the kriyas, and when they do this and when they come back with their feedback that they did this and they got this, it really feels really nice. So the challenge what I see in the today's young generation is that there are two things which which is haunting the young ones. And that if they are not able to solve these two things, then it is very difficult for them to, you know, move ahead in life towards their goal. First one is distraction, and second one is comparison. With so much connectivity, so much networking, so much of social media connection, everybody know about others every moment what is happening with the other person's life. And when you start comparing yourself with that person, he might be in the 20th chapter of his life and you will be in the second chapter of your life. How can you compare when you're on the just basic level of your life and he's already reaches the peak of his life? So that brings a lot of anxiety and insecurity amongst the young generations. So the first thing is that the comparison, and then comes the distraction. The distraction snatches your clarity in your mind. For every person to be efficient and to be to be efficient and to be powerful in what he does, he should have a clear mind, because if there is no clarity, then it's very difficult to do what you want to do. And this unclear mind makes a mind dual mind. That is very big, that is the biggest dangerous to the young generation. Dual mind can never help you in your decision making. So this all is interconnected. So I always work on single mindedness. It's not that I will sell conventional silk, I will sell also vegan silk. No, if I'm selling vegan silk, I'm just moving away from conventional silk. Conventional silk is not going to be a part of my life anymore till my last breath. This is how is my decision making. Comes over whatever happened, whatever may be the scenario, this is not going to be my part of business anymore. I might quit clothing or I might, propel in vegan silk, but I'm no way I'm going to go back to conventional silk. This is how your decision making should be. Single mindedness, not dual mindedness. Lot of people tell that, मैं ये भी करके ये भी रखता हूँ, दोनों करेंगे, कब 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 कौन सा चलेगा, ये चला तो इसमें चले जाएंगे, ये चला तो उसमें चले जाएंगे. नो, दिस विल जस्ट हैम्पर योर एफिशिएंसी. आप जो अचीव कर सकते हो वो आप खो जाएंगे. उस समय के लिए आप खुश रहेंगे, बट जो आपके अंदर जो हुनर है वो कभी नहीं आएगा. A single minded person is very very powerful than anybody in this world, and that comes only by clarity. And clarity can come only if there is no distraction. And to avoid distractions, stop comparison. Instead, spend time to understand what you are. Spend time what is within you. You'll get all the answers.
Self realization.
Yes.
I honestly think that a person like you should be the to go guide, for all the youngsters today. Because what I see, today's youngsters, they don't have a guide. They don't have a person who can show them the path. They're just distracted. So I guess we need people like you more.
I am so happy. I'm glad that you are telling this. But then I'll tell you one more thing. I'm always looking myself as a student. I always see myself as a student. I always think where I can grab another diamond and add it in my bucket. I'm always hungry for, what new I can learn, what new thing I can add on to my journey. This is the first thing I always bring whenever I go to a public place or a seminar or a conference. I never think that what I can monetarily benefit or materialistically I'll benefit. I always think that what I can take away from that and add in my life. So when I think like that, I'll be the most happiest person to give the same emotion, the same strategy to a person who wants to learn from me. I'll be the most happiest person to give them all the tools, all the techniques. If he is going to use that and he is going to grow in his life, I'll be the most happiest person. This is how I think.
It's a great thought process what you have, Sandeep ji. So I just had a doubt about these silk fabrics, right? Just we're coming back to the main topic, vegan silk. You know, these traditional silk, they usually have that the how do you say, that distinct weight, the sheen, and that flow. So, I mean, what was that technical challenge you faced, you know, when you started engineering that plant-based dyes? Because you had to get that equivalent to these classic fabrics. So, what was the challenge you faced?
Initial stages, when I was in the process of curating or creating or sourcing plant-based silk, most of the artisans were not ready to work on plant-based silk. That time in the industry, it was looked down upon to work on artificial silk. So basically, the industry used to categorize plant-based silk as artificial silk,
Okay.
and that was they used to do it wantedly so that the customer don't resort to plant-based silk. Seeing the status, the emotion of status was brought by the industry when they buy the pure silk. So the same thing was also applied, in the top of the channels, supply channel, where the artisans also were little hesitant to work on artificial silk, thinking that if they work on artificial silk, then they will lose the conventional silk market. So initially, it was very difficult for me to convince the artisans or manufacturers to make such products which are already been made in pure conventional silk, to make them in viscose or the plant-based silk. So first 3 years was quite difficult, but then slowly, we convinced a couple of artisans. So first, what we did was we worked cluster by cluster. So first, we ventured into the block printing cluster. We penetrated the block printing clusters in Gujarat and Rajasthan, and we gave them the plant-based viscose fabric to them, without any charges. It was completely from our side, and we told them to make samples, make saris, make dresses, fabric on these fabrics, so that we get the samples, and then we can give them a big lot for the production. So first thing where I stepped into as a development of plant-based silk was the natural dyes on plant-based silk. And after a lot of hard work and lot of focused intention, in 2020, we had a handful of artisans who were ready to work on mud print, dabu print, ajrak print, bark print, bagru print, on all the viscose based fabric. And that's how I started my journey in manufacturing, plant based silk clothing. And the best part of this was block printing. I'm very passionate about block printing. I used to run two block printing units in Chennai, around altogether 10 tables, and per day manufacturing was, we had around 120 to 130 saris per day. So since COVID, I couldn't do the block printing because the market was completely gone, and there was a digitalization of printing, which was a big revolution. And then I moved myself towards the ancient block printing like ajraks and indigo dabus, which is there since the Indus Valley civilization. And now what is the challenge is, we are able to give all the alternates to all the pure silk saris. Okay, but the only thing is that most of them are machine made. Being a handloom lover, being a handcraft lover, I'm doing my best to bring all the craft based products, but certain things are not in my scope. So I'm still working on that. My future, I have planned my future roadmap, and I want to bring the handloom based craft in vegan silk, and I'm sure I will do it in coming years.
Very nice. So so you've already set your future.
Yeah, because I'm very close to the artisans life. I've been working with artisans since 2005. As a weaver, as a block printer, and as a hand embroider, all the textile craft artisans, I have been working with them. आप चिकनकारी ले लो, कच्ची काम ले लो, हाथ का जरदोसी काम ले लो, इन सब लोगों के साथ मैं काम कर चुका हूँ, और ये सब लोग सिल्क साड़ी पे ही काम करते हैं. Now I have to convince. In that time it was difficult, but now everything is converted, and everybody is ready to work on plant-based silk. So things are very easy now. Only one thing which I'm not able to, achieve as of now is getting the handloom woven saris on plant-based silk. So yes, I'm working on. We all are working on this as a team, and we have found a lot of people who could join this, project, and we'll be able to bring the revolution in India in the textile industry.
Okay. We were talking about the artisans, right? The कारीगर्स.
Yeah.
तब उनका भी हम बात कर रहे हैं. सो जब एक ट्रेडिशनल साड़ी बनती है, सो you have many कारीगर्स weaving a traditional sari. You have a good amount of support from the suppliers and from the traders, everyone. So now when you have created awareness of vegan, how does their household run now? Because their life dependent on weaving a traditional sari, their house dependent on it. And how does their life run now? Craftsman's का क्या जिंदगी है? Once you started, how do you breathe life into that fabric? Artisans की life, everything.
In the year 2005, we had a lot of contracts with block printers in a small village called Bagru near Jaipur. And they all used to print on silk fabrics which I used to send from here. The raw material was silk, like Chanderi silk and Tussar silk and Dupian silk. So I used to send the raw material to them, and they used to do the block printing and send that back to me. And that's how I used to do my silk business on the block printing cluster. Today I'm sending them plant-based silk. They are doing block printing and giving it to me. In
खर्चा
fact,
कैसे निकलता है?
they are getting the same labor, no? उनको तो अपने मजूरी से मतलब है. तो वो प्योर सिल्क छापे तो 650 पर साड़ी है,
Okay.
और वो प्लांट बेस्ड सिल्क छापे तो भी उनको 650 दे रहा हूँ ना मैं.
So it's going from your pocket.
Yeah, so the job work is the same. The only thing is that we replace the fabric. So they used to print in pure silk before. Now they are printing on plant-based silk. In fact, now we have increased our block printing cluster. So now we are working with clusters in Gujarat, Rajasthan, all the clusters in different parts of these states. They are working with me, and we are the only people who are supplying handmade, organic dyed, plant-based silk to all the buyers in Tamil Nadu and Kerala.
How are they reacting? मतलब how are the buyers reacting? When अभी आपने vegan, how are they reacting? Because they are the king of traditional sarees, right? How are they reacting now? How's the current market? How are they reacting?
So I'm into two platforms. I have a B2B format and I have a retail store in the name of Hand and Yarns. As far as B2B format, we never talk about vegan silk in B2B format because the buyer is not interested what is used. The buyer is interested in the product and the price. If the product sells in his shop, he will buy from me. And if the product is not selling in his shop, he won't buy from me. The veganism part is only for my satisfaction, my values and principle in B2B format.
Okay.
As far as B2C format, where I have a retail store and the customers come to me, at present, all my retail customers, in that 80% of the customers, they hunt down my store because I sell vegan silk. They come to my store from different parts of the world for the only reason that I give them authentic, ethical, plant-based silk sari. That is the only reason why I have customers throughout the world.
So is this a good marketing technique or word of mouth?
This initially was a word of mouth.
Okay.
Now, I don't say that I have been marketing it extensively, but I made sure that I create awareness. Wherever I get a chance, I create an awareness. And every awareness, small awareness, is giving me the result today. So vegan silk is nothing new to this world. It was already existing for so many decades. It is only that I'm creating awareness.
Okay.
It is there in the market. I have to just introduce to you, करण जी, आप ये प्योर सिल्क ले रहे हो, आप मेरा वीगन सिल्क भी पहन के देखो, आपको अच्छा लगे तो आप वापस लीजिए, आपको नहीं समझ में आया तो छोड़ दीजिए.
But breaking that mindset takes time.
हमको
अब जिन लेडीज ने सालों साल सिल्क पहना है, प्योर सिल्क, जिनको आगे कुछ दिखता ही नहीं है, ब्रेकिंग दैट माइंडसेट वुड टेक टाइम, राइट?
Yeah, generations differ. The Gen Z is the biggest hope for my business.
हाउ?
The Gen Z are not so, you know, आप उनको कुछ भी नहीं बेच सकते हो. You cannot do that. And that's the best thing about the Gen Z. I really appreciate for what they are doing it.
They are sorted.
They are very clear what they want. They have a simple ideology that we shouldn't harm the planet, we shouldn't harm the other living beings, we should protect the environment, try to be eco-friendly as much as possible, live a conscious life, live a healthy life. The Gen Z are going to make the revolution. They have already made the revolution. If they are there, this business is going to flourish.
भाई आपका बिजनेस का फ्यूचर सेट हो रहा है.
The Gen Zs are very conscious, and that's the best thing I am seeing, and that's the reason why I am still hanging on to it, because they know that, you know, how they when you talk about lifestyle or when you talk about shopping, the first thing is that from where does it come? ये चीज कहाँ से आ रहा है? The first thing is what they ask. ये कहाँ से आ रहा है? ये कौन बना रहा है? Who is making it? See the questions which arises there in your mind. Who is making it? What is the impact of using this? These are the questions which they think. So it's something really great.
The generation gap is clearly seen where their mothers wouldn't ask so many questions, बस design पसंद आया उठा लो. But the kids are, they're changing the mindset.
Yeah, so mothers have been wearing pure silk, so they enjoyed the feel, the comfort, the drape, and the status also. Many of them. So when the kids come, they're like, they point blank, they ask them, ma'am, mama, आप क्यों ये साड़ी पहन रहे हो? इस साड़ी को बनाने में हजारों जीवों की हत्या हुई है. ऐसे ही बोलते हैं, and they advocate.
तो आपके दुकान में ये सीन होता है?
एग्जैक्टली ऐसा नहीं हुआ, बट बहुत सारी स्टोरीज है मेरे स्टोर के अंदर होती है, और वो स्टोरी सुनाने के लिए मिनिमम 3 से 4 पॉडकास्ट चाहिए. चलो आपको मैं एक स्टोरी बताता हूँ.
जस्ट अ शॉर्ट वन,
अ स्मॉलर वन. सो माय स्टोर patroned by lots of vegan brides. I call them vegan brides because ये जो brides होती है, इनकी शादी होती है, तब ये लोग सबसे पहले एक चीज अपने फैमिली के सामने रखते हैं कि मेरी शादी में कोई भी क्रुएल्टी बेस की चीज़ें नहीं होनी चाहिए. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, these brides tell their family that they don't want any kind of cruelty in their wedding, and the first thing comes up is that they tell that they don't want to wear pure silk. Then they tell that they don't want to wear or use any leather accessories. Then they want to avoid pearl jewelry, and they want to avoid cosmetics which is coming from animal source or animal testing. So these are some basic ones which I'm mentioning you so that you understand what is it all about.
True.
So there is a vegan bride, and there is a tradition where the groom's family gift the wedding silk sari to the bride's family for the bride on the wedding day. It's called Kura Pudva.
Correct.
And most of them wear 9 yards. It's a longer version of sari. Now these brides are very clear. They tell their mom and dad that I'll not wear pure silk sari in the wedding. The bride is able to convince their mom and dad, but it is very difficult for them to convince to the groom and groom's family, because I feel it is a status symbol for them to gift a Kura Pudva to the bride, and they generally give the best and the luxurious silk saris to the,
If I'm not wrong, the high valued.
Yeah, the high value or the luxurious one. And in that moment, if they tell that they don't want to wear pure silk, then it is a very difficult situation. So one such bride was very keen on not wearing it. So her dad started hunting for the alternative, and that's how he landed in my store. And he was quite impressive with my products. Then he told me that I would like to show this all to my daughter and my wife. And he came back next day and he showed them. They were even more impressive and happy. Now the bride and her dad were telling me that, sir, can you convince my groom and groom's family to wear the vegan silk? I was like, first time I was surprised. But then I understood the situation and then I told them, yes, I will do it. And they fixed a date and they called the groom's mom, and groom's aunt to my store. So one side the groom's family was sitting and the other side the bride's family was sitting. I didn't speak a word initially. I just straight away came. I started showing the saris one by one. I was showing different styles, different inspired saris from Kanjivarams and Banarsis. And I could see the groom's mom was little bit she didn't have any kind of doubts or any kind of confusions. And after a point of time, then she started the conversation. Are they pure silk? She asked me. I was like, ma'am, these are not pure silk, but these are no less than the pure silk, because they are made from a wood pulp and the artificial silk, and they are ethical. You know what she said me? I just can't believe this. And this all happened in my store. My father was witnessing this all. And the best thing happened over there was the kura poda, the wedding sari, was bought by the groom's mom in my store. And she bought 18 saris for her family. And they were all from Kanjipuram based. They were based out of from Kanjipuram,
Oh,
the groom's family.
I mean, Kanjivaram is the king of traditional saris. Yes.
I could say that it's a dot for silk saris in the world.
Okay. Yes, yes, yes.
So this all happens. So every there's a story in my store. Something like this keeps happening. So that's why I said that you need at least 3 to 4 podcasts to listen to all the stories and and the viewers also can enjoy the stories. Yeah.
Definitely. Sandeep ji, I've read this somewhere. It's an article. There are many consumers, so just to avoid the boiling cocoons, they have opted for airy or ahimsa silk, which means that they allow the moth to hatch naturally, right? But behind the scenes, I've read somewhere that behind the scenes, I'll just read it out. It shows a darker side where the moths are being frozen after they are mating with females, and they're being crushed in blenders for disease checks or even byproduct or food trade. जो भी है. But so when we talk about peace silk, ahimsa silk, this is a very contrast.
When I decided to opt for the compassionate silk business in 2018, the first thing came to my mind that why not try ahimsa silk in our store? Because ahimsa silk is made after the silk moth, comes out of the cocoon, and the empty cocoon is taken to, extract the silk fiber. When I got into the reality on the ground level to check exactly how they make the ahimsa silk, so-called ahimsa silk, I found out that yes, the silk moth actually emerges from the cocoon. But what happens to that moth which emerges from the cocoon? The first question. Second question, what happens during the reproduction stage? What happens during the mating stage? So these are the questions which are not answered. And all the airy silk manufacturers and ahimsa silk manufacturers just showed one part of the story where they claim that the silk moth is allowed to emerge from the cocoon and they use the empty cocoon for making the silk. So my point of view was that I don't want to use any silk thread or any fiber which is coming from animal source. So even if it is a conventional silk, it is coming from animal. Even if it is airy silk or ahimsa silk, it comes from animal. So my point is very clear that my store will not have any such filament or yarn or fiber or threads which are coming from animal source. I was very keen on that. Once I found out that airy silk was actually not showing the whole story, then I decided that I'm not going to use even airy silk or ahimsa silk. There are a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of mystery behind airy silk. Most of the people don't know. They just know one part of the process where they claim that the moth is allowed to emerge and they don't get killed. But during the sericulture, during the mating stage where the male moth and female moths are left for mating, lot of death happens. And if any batch of eggs are found infection or any moth is found infection, then the whole batch of eggs are removed from the culturing and they are just destroyed. So my question is that um, any kind of silk, any kind of sericulture, if you are culturing 100 eggs, and if the 100 moths are emerging out of the cocoons, are those 100 moths are fully developed? Are they living a proper life cycle? So what happens in conventional silk, it is boiled along with the silkworms. But in eri silk and ahimsa silk, these silk moths emerge from the cocoons which are not developed. Most of them don't have eyes, they don't have wings. So the moment they emerge, hardly for a 45 minutes or an hour, they would stay, and then they are collected and discarded. And places in the eastern parts of India like SM and all, it is sold in the markets for as a human diet. Eri is a good source of protein and it is consumed in eastern parts of India. As far as I know, the facts is that how far it is compassionate or how far is cruelty free is still a big question mark. But on my side, I'm very clear that my store will not have any such products which is coming from animal silk. I don't want to talk much about the other industry like the eri silk industry, because I'm just clear on what I want to sell. So yes, eri silk and Naimsa silk is what I don't want to sell because of the reason, only reason that it comes from animal source.
So your hand and yarns, they cater globally, like to the US and the UK and the Middle East. Are you finding that the global consumers, are they getting accustomed to this fashion more quicker, or the Indian mindsets are changing quickly?
Globally, if you see countries like US and UK, most of these most of the consumers have already, they are ahead of us in matters of sustainability and conscious lifestyle. They have already aligned themselves with a lot of consciousness. But then I would say that India is a place where the sustainability and eco-friendly has been a part of the culture. Of course, there is a lot of fast fashion happening, a lot of fast fashion brands in India. India is in the stage where fast fashion is the in thing now. But then, as I already mentioned previously, that the Gen Zs are very smart. So India will match or even go ahead the other countries. As of now, countries like USA, UK are much ahead in the fashion, sustainable fashion and sustainable lifestyle. But India is not going to be. India is also going to match them very fast.
We just pray for that.
Yeah.
And in the introduction, I was talking that you are an active flute player. ये एक surprise from the box.
Yes, so I picked up this music instrument in just a year back. There's a story behind that. I don't think so. The time will permit, but then I would share one thing that everyone should have a creative part in his life. Do something artistic which calls for your skill, develop your creativity. Something or other should be there apart from your professional life, your business life and your family life. You need to have something where you can do really creative, where you can learn and bring out the skills within you. So this is so I picked up flute a year back and I just love playing it. And this is a time when everything stops within me and I become completely calm and focused, and I just enjoy the music coming out from the flute, and trying to work with my breath. so that you get the exact notes. So this whole thing is just a very different experience. I can't explain you in words now. And this has helped me a lot. I could see a huge transformation, and it has helped me a lot in my thought process. I'm more calm, and it is creating a clean base for me to take vital decisions in both in my personal life and my business life, because flute is something really amazing, and I just love playing it. Because my dream is to everyone who hears the music coming from flute should enjoy, should feel really happy and close to themselves the moment they hear this music.
So, like they say, creation in any form must stay connected to stillness.
Yes, exactly.
So now you have become a pioneer in hand and yarns. तो भी can we expect कि Lord Krishna आने वाले from you?
Oh, he is great. हम तो उनके सामने कुछ भी नहीं है.
Definitely.
हम तो उनके बच्चे हैं. He is amazing person.
Definitely.
Great person, and I have a lot of love for Lord Krishna.
So, like, no, we are end of our podcast. This is one question I want to ask you. What would be the one advice you would want to give to the youngsters which they should not follow? Not follow, because you've seen your life where you've seen the ups, the downs, the failures, the success. What would be the one thing which you would not want the youngsters to do?
Every youngster have a different phase in their life. In the beginning they are very active, they are very powerful, and they want to do things, big things. So that is the period when you live at the highest, the peak of your life. And it is a very different situation. They have to be careful in their decisions. And as I mentioned, that you should have clarity in your mind what you want to do, and this all comes with certain kriyas. The youngsters need to know that just by hard work, just by being smart, achieving your goals is not going to be easy, but you need to be holistically strong. And a person can become holistically strong only if he tries to know what is within himself. He should know the reason behind his birth. That's how deep he should be. The purpose behind his birth, the purpose behind what is he doing, everything he should know why he has to do, the awareness, and all this will come only with certain kriyas. The kriyas could be like, anything like meditation, yoga, prayers. All this has to be a part of your life, which I feel most of them are missing in their life. You might think that you are growing, but there will be a point, there will be a situation where you will not be able to bring yourself out from that situation. But if you have all this with you, these kriyas, then it will be easy for you to face any kind of challenge. So my message to all the young generations is, do something good so that you make the place a better place. Just don't think about yourself. Just don't think about your well-being. You have to think about the environment. You have to think about the other living beings. You have to think about the planet. Because you remember, when the pandemic came to this world, were you thinking about your profession? Were you thinking about your business? Were you thinking about your money? No, you were just thinking how to save your life. I think that pandemic taught a lot to this world. And I would suggest today again to all the young ones who is listening to this podcast that these kind of situations will come in multiple numbers in the coming years. And the only answer and only solution to all this is work on your holistic development. Developing only one aspect of your life can never give solutions to you or never bring you out from the worst situation. developing holistic is the only answer to all kinds of challenges in this world. Yeah.
This is a story of incredible reinvention. Walking away from a multi crore business network, at its peak, it takes immense courage and a big heart to walk away. But like Mr. Sandeep Singhvi has proved today, that aligning your work with your soul is the ultimate success. And thank you, Mr. Sandeep Singhvi, for pioneering a compassionate leadership for fashion and creating a new vision for our youngsters today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks once again for such a lovely podcast. You gave me an opportunity to share my journey to everyone, and I hope you know a lot of people understand the need of art. And through this podcast, I want to share my thoughts that always think about this. Always think about all the living beings. This is the need of the hour, and I strongly believe in karma. So what you do today is going to come back to you tomorrow. Yeah.
And to every young mind listening, remember that your greatest power lies in your ability to choose purpose over profit and alignment over applause. Until the next time on the Human Compass with Karan, take care of your inner light.